Jedi, at last we will have revenge. The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. Now you will experience the full power of the dark side.
Welcome, followers of the Dark Side and the Light. I'm your host, John, the real JP3, and I'm joined as always by my good friend and fellow Sith Lord, who is a master of the dark side, expert on the occult, and obtainer of rare antiquities and holocrons. Please welcome Dark Lord of the Sith, David!
Johnny, what's up, buddy? This is episode 90, aka YouTube episode 2, Ugly Mug, continues. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. This has been an interesting, I want to say conquest, but that's not the right word.
No, we haven't conquested it
of breaking into YouTube, but I'm really enjoying it. I've had some people say, "Oh, we listened to like 15 minutes of the episode," or "I listened to the whole episode," or "I watched the whole episode." It's crazy now that when I like post things on social media, I'm like, "Oh, listen! Well, you can listen and watch now." It's pretty cool.
It's a combo package. Yeah, episode 90 of the Rule 2, a Star Wars podcast, as well as episode 90/2 of the YouTube podcast, Chronicles, whatever you want to call it. As you can see, I've got an updated lighting in comparison to last episode where I was a little dark on that side. I'm tan, but I'm not that tan. But John, you ready to kick this off, man?
I am. I just want to mention, guys, I told Dave that he looked like he was getting ready to like make a defaming announcement or something. I feel like you're Freddie Mercury where the lights are on you and you're being asked a lot of questions and you don't want to answer them. Or he's like at the jailhouse and Harry Potter too.
What Harry?
Remember where they were like taking all the pictures and they were talking about Voldemort's back and blah blah blah. Yeah. We'll go with that one.
I was just going to go with I am Iron Man. But okay, fine. We can do that too.
Okay, there we go. Tony Stark.
I love me some Tony. I love me some Tony Stark.
Anyway.
What are we doing today, John? What are we covering? What are we talking about? What are they seeing? What's going on? All I know is I've got Thrawn treason.
Do you have my copy too?
I do. This is actually your copy because my copy's already on my shelf.
Okay, that would make sense.
This is the talking copy. But our San Diego Comic-Con editions should be here any day now, thanks to my bounty hunter.
Oh, that's nice. So yes, we're gonna hit this off with some Galactic Times, and then getting into some episode 9 questions that we would like answered. So when Dave and I originally talked about this episode and what we were gonna do, I was a little worried about there's not a whole lot of news. And then as we slowly started preparing more, I was like, okay, there's a lot of news that has come out. Some of it's big news. We covered a lot of the big announcements from San Diego Comic-Con on Monday's episode. Sorry, not last week's episode, Monday's episode. And so this is just some more tidbits that we're going to talk about. So we're going to go through them. We're going to hit on some topics, go through some things. The first thing I want to bring up, just because you showed the book, is Timothy Zahn's Thrawn Treason was out on Tuesday, July 23rd.
Yep,
David has already started listening to the audiobook. And with that, I'm here to say I started listening to the first Thrawn book in the new canon, and I am at chapter 7.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I'm telling you that I am thoroughly impressed, thoroughly enjoyed. The last time I started, I was taking a bunch of notes. And so this time I'm just listening to it. If I don't feel I'm 100% vested, then I'm not going to listen to it. That's my goal. But I made the commitment I was going to listen to it. As I'm listening to this and I hear Thrawn talk, I'm like,
Mithron Nuroto.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the full name. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it really is.
I'm not going to try to use it. I'm not going to try to say it. But I was like, this guy says a lot of the same stuff that Dave says.
Like what?
Like when he doesn't want to really answer something or he has nothing else to say, he just says, I see. That's a classic
Yeah,
David line.
a little bit.
Possibly, we'll see, perhaps. Classic Dave lines.
In due time. Yeah.
I just learned to accept and not question.
See, so
You'll get a rant.
it makes perfect sense if I decide to bear a child and name it Thrawn, him Thrawn, whatever. It might be a girl. I may name a girl Thrawn. Who knows? See, it makes sense because all those characteristics and phrases stem from me as well as Thrawn. So hybrid.
We'll go with that. Okay. But so Timothy Zahn did an interview with StarWars.com and talked about some of the things from the new Thrawn book. And so I just want to talk about a couple things real quick. So I'm going to read the first paragraph of the article just because I thought it was so cool. Gather up the greatest military commanders of all time, add in a healthy dose of Sherlock Holmes style observation and inquisitive investigation, and a pinch of author Timothy Zahn's personal experience playing chess, and you start to get an idea of how he constructed the brilliant mind of Grand Admiral Thrawn. Chess. I'm not a fan of chess. Dave likes chess. He likes checkers too.
Chess is awesome.
So I thought it was super interesting that that's what he went with. And he even goes on to say, I need to play both sides of the chessboard. I don't want stupid villains or stupid heroes. That's boring. I want both sides to be smart heroes within their own parameters, within the range of what they know. And I was like, I completely see Thrawn written that way now. Completely see, 100%.
And I guess I got that vibe on the first book as well as the original Thrawn trilogy that came out right after Return of the Jedi. But that's why when we always play Armada, John, I tell you all the time, I'm like, I know how to beat me. I know how to beat me. I know what you need to do to beat me. You're just not doing it. So whatever plan I come up with when we play Armada, I know my strategy and I know exactly what it's going to look like when you start trying to turn the tide. I know my weak point, so it's very similar. I see how Zahn wrote Thrawn that way.
So something else that I think is extremely interesting, and I don't think you relate to Thrawn in this way, and then we'll stop talking about Thrawn. Is
I do love Thrawn.
He makes another comment. Thrawn is adamant that given all the intel and mystery in a situation, Thrawn could defeat any opponent. Even the best generals and admirals had blind spots, Zahn says, but not Thrawn. My feeling is, if you give Thrawn perfect control and perfect information, he will always win. The way you defeat him is throw something he can't control or throw something he can't anticipate.
Which that is exactly what happened to him in Rebels with the Bendu, the whales, the space whales. I forget exactly what they're called, but that was something he couldn't foresee, something he couldn't quantify, something he couldn't calculate, and that inevitably led to Ezra and Thrawn taking some trips with some space whales, man.
Yeah, so I was reading this and I was like, oh, no, that wouldn't work on Dave. It just wouldn't work. He'll find a way, even without any information or data or anything else that he needs. He'll still figure out how to get out of it. It's pointless.
Which I am itching to play Star Wars Armada. Like, you have no idea. Reading these Thrawn books, that's all it makes me want to do is strategize. I want to play like friggin' Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gatherer, all these other games that require strategy just to exercise that little bit of my brain, to the point where I even went back and I watched Gladiator, the first 300 movie, and the second 300 movie, because they all invoke strategy, deception. How do you do this? How do you do that? So I need that fix of strategy. So Thrawn is definitely helping.
Are you not entertained?
I love that. I love it.
Okay. So that's Thrawn. As I finish the first Thrawn, we'll go back and do an episode review of Thrawn and talk about it. We'll try to do our best to be spoiler free, but that's coming in the future. Nothing real soon. Like I said, I'm only on chapter 7, and I listen as much as I can when I'm attentive to it. So, any other things on Thrawn before I move on, Dave? Sorry.
It's awesome. Check out Audible. We have a 30-day free trial for 2 free audiobooks. If you have not jumped on the Audible bandwagon, now is the time. And use our link that is going to be attached to the top of our Facebook page. John's got it pinned there, so click it, go through the motions, get 2 free books. Regardless if it's Star Wars or not, the time is now.
Awesome. All right, moving on.
Do it for Thrawn. Do it for John.
Thanks.
And Brendel.
So, oh God. So the next thing that I want to talk about is Vader Immortal Episode 2. So ILM did a panel at San Diego Comic-Con where they provided some shots, which is posted on our Facebook page. We posted, I think it was yesterday or the day before, of the next episode that's coming out. Again, read the article. There are some spoilers in there. If you have not played episode 1, I read through it. It wasn't a big deal. But I'll just give you some hints as to episode 2. You get to use the Force. It's Vader equivalent to Yoda teaching Luke on Dagobah. There's a Black Bishop that appears. And...
Which the Black Bishop character appeared in the first one, didn't it?
That is correct. But apparently
the
he's more prominent.
Like shrouded in like the blue like garb. Okay.
Yes.
Which everyone is speculating that may be Snoke. People have speculated that may be Snoke, but I don't know for sure. It's rumor, it's conjecture. You know how that thing goes.
So interestingly enough, this came up. So I received an article from my director today, who told me that people don't go to malls anymore and just hang around like we used to do when we were kids. They don't walk around, they don't go shopping or buy things or things like that. So owners of malls are trying to find different ways to get the younger generation into them and people to continue to go to them when stores are pulling out, because most of them are going to online. They are creating VR hubs inside of malls where you can go and play a VR game in these little shops that are no longer actual retail stores, because it's a tech thing. The younger generations want that. And I was like, holy crap, I would have never thought of that. And this is something you and I talked about. I looked into VR gear. VR gear is very expensive for a very small reward. Yep. So it's not something I would want to invest in for something I'm not going to play all the time. But if you put it up in a mall and you charge me $30 to be in there for 20 minutes, if that, 15, and I get to play the game, hey, that's pretty cool.
So are you telling me you're shopping around for malls that are doing this currently so you can play Vader Immortal?
As far as I know, there wasn't a complete list, but there wasn't a whole bunch of people in Texas. I don't think there was anybody in Texas that had it, but this guy who was talking in the article has 30 malls around the United States, and so I'm assuming that eventually it'll get wind and people will start doing it. So
if not, I say we take over the mall here in my local city that is now abandoned due to the fact that we have another mall and everybody likes going to that mall. I still say we take it over and do indoor paintball war. Just saying.
I dig it. So one thing I want to do, quote from the StarWars.com article on the Vader Immortal Episode 2, is, there's a private moment in Vader's life where he removes his helmet and calls out to Padme before erupting in anger. Paul Hidalgo of Lucasfilm Story Group has said to me at one point, Vader is in constant pain. That's basically his thing with everything that happened to his body and all that sort of thing. It seemed to me that you could show that a little bit. So reading this article, and if you hadn't got a chance to read it, go check it out. StarWars.com. It's also on our Facebook page. They really are getting into the nuts and bolts of showcasing the things that Vader goes through, the dark side, where he lived, and getting down to the nitty gritty that we may not have gotten to see specifically in the movies, which I thought was very, very cool. That you're telling a story. Obviously, it's Vader Immortal. You're getting into the nitty gritty of the story, which I'm very surprised you had not invested in a VR, because it's about Vader and you love Vader.
I do love Vader, but I'm also in the midst of trying to buy a house and upgrading all these other things that I want to do in the same stretch and go to Galaxy's Edge and live life and blah, blah, blah. I'm waiting for you to do it, John.
Well, John's going to find a mall that has these VR series so we can go play them there.
That's fine. Just take me to the mall.
But yeah, so there is no official release date for Vader Immortal Episode 2 as of yet. So we will keep you guys posted as we find out that information. Also, they gave out posters at the ILM Labs panel at San Diego Comic-Con. We posted those pictures. They're from episode 1. But we posted those posters on our Facebook page and Instagram and Twitter as well, so go check them out.
And they do look pretty sweet, by the way.
They do. So you said something about Galaxy's Edge. So I'm going to roll right into our next news.
Oh, man. Keep hitting
about Galaxy's Edge.
Get it, girl.
So Disney World, that's right, Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida, which opens to the public for Galaxy's Edge August 29th, has announced that their annual pass holders and Platinum and Plus will have preview days from August 17th through August 21st. They'll be able to experience the rides, go to the cantina, Savvy's workshop, all that good stuff. They are fixing, I think Monday they launch cast members, so their employees get to go in and experience Galaxy's Edge at Walt Disney World, not Star Wars Worldland. What I was thinking there.
The Planet of Batuu, John. The Planet of Batuu.
The Planet of Batuu. So they will send out email invites to their Platinum Plus pass holders, and then the park opens August 29th. Another interesting thing, which I found out that's happening at Disneyland, is you now have to have a reservation to eat at Oga's Cantina and Savvy's Workshop, even if you're a normal individual just going for the day and you buy tickets.
So how far in advance can you place your reservation, or how do you even do a reservation?
So the article that I read, or the person who posted who dug into this heavily, and it was part of the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge Facebook page, is they said everything's out till August 7th at Disneyland. You can book up through August 7th. At first, they were saying that it had to be the day that you were holding the pass or that you were going to go. They think that's still the case. They may open it up where, hey, you don't have a pass to get in, but you walk up and want to buy. You can do it in advance. I looked at some dates, and like the dinner time for Oga's Cantina was already booked. They have not announced officially that they will do this at Walt Disney World either, but a lot of people are speculating it will probably happen. So I've added it to our list of things that I need to make sure we take care of in advance. So when we go, that we are able to go and sit at Oga's Cantina. And also, I know you want to build like 15 lightsabers, so I'll see how many spots I can reserve.
I'm going to at least want to build 2 lightsabers.
Well, the good thing is
2 lightsabers per trip.
So, oh God, okay. Well, that just messes up everything.
We're going 2 times next year, John, so I want to walk away with a total of 4 sabers, okay? It's not too much to ask.
So the first trip that we're taking, I had booked us to be in Galaxy's Edge for 2 days. That's why I said, oh, okay.
I can do one a day.
That's what I'm saying. So we're planning on doing that. So I thought that was kind of cool. Reservations, just be prepared, guys. I don't know what'll happen at Walt Disney World. Yeah. We haven't heard of any official reservations for the first couple of weeks of opening at Walt Disney World like we heard at Disneyland. The only thing that I think helps Walt Disney World is they're opening after school. Most schools start. So the rush, the crowd, and everything else, I don't think will be there. So we'll see.
Yeah, never know. It's Star Wars, man.
All right, Dave. Moving right along. You're going to be excited about this one.
Move along.
Oh, move along. Nice.
Sorry, go ahead.
5, 13.
2.
So,
Randall.
you were the one that showed me this article where we were talking about the limited run games, was going to re-release some Lucasfilm games from back in the day.
Some classics.
And so they're releasing 2 this Friday, July 26th at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. They're releasing Star Wars Empire Strikes Back on NES and Game Boy. That's like classic. I haven't played one of those in forever. And then Star Wars Shadows of Empire will be released on N64. There is a collector's edition of Empire Strikes Back that will set you back $84.99.
It's not bad at all. What if you think about going back in time, the nostalgic, feelings, the warm and fuzzies. You're an adult. Theoretically, you make money now. You have your own bank account. You can buy these things as your own instead of being, the child asking the parent for it. Splurge, go crazy, do your thing, rejoice. Remember the old times, the good times.
Yeah, so I thought that was... Yeah, so available on limitedrungames.com. $84.99 for those two. I didn't give the prices. We did post the pictures of what you get in both of those sets on our Facebook page, so go check those out.
And the one cool thing I like about them is it's the actual cartridges.
Yes.
So it's not like
yes.
the ones from back in the day, but it's a cartridge that looks just like the classic versions of the Nintendo 64, of the Game Boy, of the NES, whatever system it's on. It's the classic cartridge. Again, just hidden back and harkening back to the warm and fuzzies, which I think is awesome.
So you also get a commemorative coin, by the way. You get a commemorative coin for whichever one of the Empire Strikes Back that you buy. It just depends which one you choose. It's a gold or silver one. So again, pictures are out there. Check it out. That is available on Friday, July 26th, 10 p.m. 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern time. And then also they partnered up with Hyperkin, which is they make accessories and stuff like that for old video games. And they're going to have retro console accessories that you can also purchase from them to be able to play your old Star Wars game on your retro console accessories.
So speaking of retro, the other day I was on my Xbox and I was like, oh man, I feel like playing this game. And I backtracked and I found on the Xbox One marketplace KOTOR and KOTOR 2, the Sith Lord. So I purchased both of them, even though I've got the physical copies, which are like right there, and back the original Xbox versions, and I even have KOTOR on my iPad. So it just shows you how much I love that darn game. I can't stop buying it. I've bought it in like 3 different formats already. So if they do come out with a remastered version, something on a new console, they have my money. They don't even have to try. They've got my money.
So somebody once told me when I was a young Sith, I think I was a young Padawan at this time. I wasn't a Sith acolyte yet. Someone told me, when you own Star Wars media on multiple different mediums, digital, physical, VHS, DVD, all those good things, that means you're on your way to becoming a true Star Wars fan. And I have to say that I own the DVD, I own the Blu-rays, I own the digital copies, and I own so much of the Star Wars media. It's crazy. I also own it on the steel books from Best Buy. It's a lot of different things. So
I love that statement and I hate that statement at the same time. You don't have to have it in multiple mediums to be a true Star Wars fan. As long as you love Star Wars, that's all that matters. You could be 2 years old and love Star Wars and not own a darn thing Star Wars and you're still a fan, but you start getting into the obsession. Obviously, we have a podcast, so we really, really like Star Wars. And it comes with, okay, well, ooh, this is a digital version. It's shiny. I don't have to get up off my couch. I can just hit play. Got it. Ooh, it's a steelbook. I love steelbooks. Okay, got it. Lucasfilms, they just make it so easy for you to own these in multiple formats, and each format gives you a little something different that keeps you buying more and more. Because I guarantee at the end of episode 9, it's going to close out, wait 6 months, the regular steelbook's going to come out, and then they're going to have a Mac Daddy of Darkness version that has the entirety of episode 1 and episode 1 through 9 in a crazy Blu-ray 4K HD collection that I'm probably going to own, and so are you, John.
You know who told me that?
Who's that?
David Noyola.
I just told you that right now. That's my name.
Yeah, you just told me what I said that someone told me at one point when you own it on different mediums. You were the one that told me that.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, you told me that oh God, I just realized how long we've been friends.
I might have said hardcore fan.
It's been a while. David and I have known each other. It'll be 7 years next year.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. No wonder why I have so many gray hairs.
Yeah. So the lucky number 7th year. If people know me, they know why I say those things.
Dun, dun, dun.
But anyway, so
dun, dun,
yeah,
dun.
David told me.
Sorry.
I think David told me that 6 years ago. So anyway,
probably the first celebration.
So talking about Star Wars media, Star Wars Resistance episode, our season 1, will be released on DVD August 20th, 2019.
I'm getting it.
I know. I was gonna say, what do you like? So I know when Star Wars Resistance it started out, the first couple of episodes, I was like, oh, I can't get into this, and I thought David was gonna be like, no, John, it's boring. We're not gonna watch it, so we don't have to report out on it. True David fashion. He was like, I'm not a fan of it. It's not a big deal. I couldn't get through it, and I was like, oh, yeah, we don't have to talk about it. No, we ended up stopping to watch it, and then I was like, I'm so happy we watched this. It's so good.
I always go back to the first season of Clone Wars. It was slow. It wasn't.
Yes.
It wasn't what everyone wanted it to be. But just like Rebels, it takes a while to get up that hill. It takes a while to build up that steam, to make the connections and rapports with the characters, as well as let the audience grow a little bit, and flush out different thoughts, different feelings, different emotions that you don't get in the first season. Because hell, Ezra's a totally different character in season 1 than he is at the end of the journey at season 4. Totally
Absolutely.
different.
Completely different.
Same thing with Ahsoka Tano. Anakin Skywalker in the first episode of Clone Wars. You winked!
Oh my god! Now I'm gonna mess it up.
Yeah, don't mess it up.
Guys, I can't wink. So when I wink, and this is on camera too. When I wink, it's pretty amazing.
Very similar to Anakin Skywalker. Stop it! You're gonna break it. You're gonna break your wink. Yeah, characters grow, develop. Yeah, that's all I got.
Anakin Skywalker, he grew. Different characters. So
I'm just laughing about your wink face.
Oh man. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna stop.
So are you gonna buy?
Right.
Are you gonna buy it?
I probably will. I already have Clone Wars because there was a mix-up at the Amazon factory, and they sent me double copies.
There wasn't a mix-up. You subconsciously bought yourself extras, even though they were supposed to be for me, because I had them on DVD, and I was like, oh, John, you know what? I don't feel like buying these for myself. This could be what you give me for Christmas. Upgrade my DVD collection to Blu-rays. And you're like, yeah, sure, whatever. And sure enough, he bought himself like a copy for himself and a copy for me. But I don't think he wants to admit it. I think he's playing it off as like, oh, it was a complete mistake.
It actually, I'm sorry, Amazon. It wasn't Amazon. I bought them off eBay. But anyway.
You cheated on Amazon.
So anyway, thank you. That's your 5 seconds of live counseling from Dave, guys. Okay. Moving on.
Ooh, moving on.
We're done with the Galactic Times.
Are we now?
So it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of our episode.
So I think we need to change meat and potatoes to something Star Wars related.
Blue milk and Bantha?
No, there's other mediums out there like that. How about?
By the way, I should get some kudos for coming up with that off the top of my head because I am not that quick or that good.
So like we can go like tauntaun chops or something crazy.
Tom chops.
Tauntaun, the little beast that.
I don't know what it is.
Or porg wings, whatever. I do love wings.
We do love wings.
Like wings or lemon pepper wings. Oh man.
So what are we gonna do? But you gotta have like
we'll think about it.
You gotta have pork wings and
I don't know.
Wookiee fried rice. I'm never this good, guys. I'm never this quick.
Just for you, John, we can have Wookiee fried rice.
Okay. So we'll come up with something else besides meat and potatoes, guys. Give us some time. If you got any ideas on what you want to do, let us know. Who knows? It may even end up on our TeePublic, where you can order like this tapestry and the shirt that I got. You can order these from TeePublic. Find at the Rule of Two Pod or the Rule of Two Pod. Search us. We got one design up there, but we do have one that will be coming soon. We'll post that on our social media once we get it at teepublic.com. And then once you're there, you might as well just head over onto our Patreon and see what we got to offer you at Patreon with our different tiers.
There you go. Might as well. It's a one-stop shop.
Anyway, so getting into the blankety blank of today's episode.
Blankety
what
blank.
What questions do you want answered from episode 9, from the entire saga?
Dun dun dun. So obviously we know J.J. Abrams has a monumental task ahead of him, not only closing out the sequel trilogy, but as well as closing out the entirety of the Skywalker saga. What are, what are one of the questions you want answered from JJ, from the saga that we've seen so far?
Number one question.
Number one question.
Number one question. Sorry, guys. Y'all may think this is the dumbest question in the world, but I want to know how this ties into The Last Jedi.
You want what?
I want to know how everything ties in. Like, to me, The Last Jedi was out of left field. Some great parts, we've talked about that. But how does The Last Jedi tie in to the global, grander scheme of the Skywalker saga? Because I feel that a lot of the questions, majority of the questions were answered leading up to using episode 7. 8 to me was out of left field, and I know we've talked about that, and I'm not a bashing session because we've already gone through that, but how does that tie in to the rest of the saga? Is JJ going to bring it full circle? Snoke, everything else to kind of give us some more information about why we had episode 8. Not as a negative thing, but just tell me why.
So I think you need to flush out a little bit more, because that is too much of a wide arcing thing. So break down. Give me one question you want out of that episode 8 spawned that you don't have an answer to. Because when you say it the way you do, you make it sound like, oh, why did we even have episode 8? And I don't think you mean it that way.
That's essentially what I'm saying. Why did episode 8 occur the way that it did? Help me understand that. Why did Rey? Okay, her training. Why did she spend so much time with Luke? It was because of her training. But so was that
I
really the
feel
goal?
Like she didn't spend enough time with Luke. To me, her training scene seemed shorter than Luke's on Dagobah.
And then I go, so the biggest question I want to know, why did Kylo kill Snoke? Yeah, it was probably because he was the supreme leader, but was that a grander scheme of things? Was there something bigger that Snoke knew was coming?
That's a perfect question. When you say, why did we have episode 8, that makes it sound like you liked nothing from episode 8, that it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
It makes sense. Go back, watch it. That's coming from me, who's not a big fan of episode 8.
Thrawn Calrissian.
It makes sense. Okay, so for me, one thing I want episode 9 to go ahead and talk about is the true origin of Rey's parents.
That was one of my questions.
Well, I'm sorry. That's why you say real questions, not, why did this episode happen? Like that, come on, John. Like, so that is a question that I would ask.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's a kid show.
That's true. It's kids. Damn it. Save the Death Star. But no, so like that is a question that needs to get answered.
Okay, so another question I have that I want to ask.
Okay.
What's going to happen with Leia, and how are they going to portray Leia in episode 9?
Like, what do you mean?
Okay, so we know she's not physically living on this earth anymore. Rest in peace. But I felt, we talked about this, when she did her Mary Poppins thing in episode 8, that should have been kind of how they let Leia go. But with her not being here physically, and they said they really didn't want to use CGI or motion capture to depict her character, Princess Leia, then what are we going to do? How, is she going to exit stage left somehow? Is she going to be off on a mission? And I guess it ties into my other question I have, is what's going to happen to all these characters? My guess is they're not coming back in a future, as of right now, we're not going to see Poe and Rey and FM2187 and Rose and all those people again. We may. There's a possibility. There's always possibilities. But what's going to happen with the characters? How are they going to handle the Princess Leia or Carrie Fisher situation?
So they've already discussed that they're just imposing her face and using different scenes from episode 7 and 8. And they're changing it up a little bit with computer generated graphics and aging her a little bit, but she's still going to be in the movie. I don't know if she's going to pass on in the movie or still be alive by the time the credits roll in the movie. So that's a toss-up, how they handle that. But how much do you think she's going to be in the movie? As much as she was in episode 8 or less?
So I didn't think she was in episode. I didn't think she was. She was showcased in episode 8. Sorry, but not as much as I had seen in like previous movies. Obviously,
To me, she
I
had a
think
bigger
it'll.
role in 8 than she did in 7.
I would agree, but I'm saying I don't think she was. She was still minimal. I think it's going to be even less
I could see that.
than episode 8. I could see it being about the same as episode 7, probably.
Okay.
Just kind of highlighting the other people that we have, and what's kind of. I think the real focus is going to end up coming around 1, Kylo, 2, Rey, 3, the Emperor. If you want me to be honest, those where I think the focus is going to be. Everybody else is going to be there. Everybody else that's part of their clan is going to be there, but in reality, I think that's where your main focuses are going to be.
Fair enough. One question, I think you kind of alluded to it earlier. It's kind of cheating when I say this, but Snoke's origin. A little bit more on Snoke. You get a little snippet in the visual dictionary. We got a comic book of him coming out a little bit later on this year. That's going to help fill in some gaps, as well as I'm sure the Kylo Ren 5-issue series that comes out in December before the movie is going to give us some of that knowledge. But is it the entirety of Snoke's story, or just bits and pieces because they want to continue to flesh that out? I don't know.
So, same question I had. I don't remember what she said at the beginning, if it was cheating. I don't think it's cheating. I think it's something that we really need to learn more about Snoke. We had this discussion about Snoke being a puppet on an episode, and we talked heavily about it during the episode, but I want to know more. Is there something else out there? Is this, I keep saying the grander scheme or the bigger scheme. I think I know there is a bigger presence, bigger scheme, a grander plan. I know that. I don't know how it's going to unfold, and I don't know what's going to happen. I think Snoke was part of the grander plan, but was he part of the grander plan to the point that we thought he was? Or does he play a much, much, much bigger role than we're giving him credit for?
We'll find out what JJ unleashes on us in December. One of my next questions, which I think we kind of talked about it recently as well, is Kylo a Sith? Is he going to take up the Darth mantle, the Sith Lord mantle, or is he just going to leave it alone? We know he's a big fanboy of his grandfather, who was a Sith Lord. Is he going to take up that mantle to follow in his footsteps now that Snoke's not around anymore? Thoughts? What do you think? Yay or nay?
So I like this so much better that they can see us and know that we're thinking, and we're not just not talking.
Not just
no voice. And we're thinking.
Thinking face.
As soon as you said that, and I'm going to throw out this question, or I'm going to throw out this comment, and then we'll talk. I'll go back and answer your other one. But you made a comment I think on Monday's episode or last week's episode about the fact that the Knights of Ren may not be a fan of Kylo anymore, and may have tried to turn on where they want him out. So that question popped into my head when you were asking this question. I feel that Kylo, in all actuality, just wants to harvest all the power that he can. I really do. Any way that he can get there and make it to the top is what Kylo Ren wants. If that means that he's a supreme leader now and he identifies an opportunity for him to become a Sith, and it ranks him higher than where he is, he's going to take that opportunity. Kylo is, I wouldn't say he's a leader. He's got some stuff he's got to learn. But in reality, Kylo wants the power. He wants to harvest the power. He wants to move forward. He's going to finish what his grandfather started, and I truly believe that. But again, you brought up a great point. What exactly is that?
Yeah, what is he saying that his grandfather started? Or is it actually he doesn't really know much about his grandfather, but the Emperor is the one talking to him, lying to him, pretending it's his grandfather, pretending it's Anakin? Who knows? Maybe this whole time Palpatine's been pulling strings on Kylo And Kylo's got the perception that, oh, I'm talking to my grandfather. But in fact, it's Sheev's. You know what I mean?
Do you think he'd be that naive? Honestly, be 100% real with me.
Has he ever heard his grandfather's voice?
Well, no, but I'm just that naive.
Is it naive or is it manipulation?
I don't like what you did there.
I'm just saying. Is it naivete or is it the fact that he just got manipulated by the guy that went ahead and manipulated the entire galactic senate, the entire republic? I don't think anything is off limits from Palpatine. I think he's got the capacity to do anything, and this will just further that cause. If he can go ahead and put a stopper in frickin' Count Dooku, who was completely blindsided by the fact that he was a puppet. This is a Jedi Master. This is a guy that had been in the Order for years, had seen the light and the dark, and wrestled with his own demons, but didn't see Palpatine pulling the fast one on him. How many others? How many others that we haven't even seen that Palpatine has done something similar to? Hell, he tried to do it to Ezra.
He did. And so when you say things like that, I think back about how long did Palpatine lay in wait to execute his plan. That's what I'm saying. There's a grander plan. I know there is.
Yeah, and JJ's going to give us that grander plan, but the question is, are we going to like it? You personally could love the plan. I could hate it. It could be vice versa. We don't know.
I think it all goes back to everything we ever talk about. It's all a matter of perspective.
Yep.
It's all a matter of perspective. It's all a matter of what we see and what we have. So we'll have to wait and see. I agree. He's going to give us the plan. He's going to give us, what is it, the prestige, as they say in magician term. The prestige, the final. He's going to give us the final act of Star Wars, and it's going to close out the Skywalkers. Okay, we're just throwing out all kinds of weird words today.
You've never heard the word crescendo?
No, I have. I was in band.
Well, then why do you make it sound like it's a weird word?
Because I'm just like, with the prestige, crescendo. I think this video thing's gone to our head, guys. We just enjoy. I'm excited. I'm staring at myself like.
I'm just happy you stopped biting the cord. Because I was afraid you're going to bite down too hard one time and get electrocuted. Honestly, no, don't do it. You winked. Take the victory.
Oh, no, I can't do it. Anyway, so, yeah, JJ's going to give it to us. And I completely agree. Palpatine has the capability and the know-how and the willpower to make that plan happen. He waited for so long. The thing that I question now, was it actually Palpatine's plan? Or did somebody else give him the idea? Was it Plagueis?
You know, if you want to go talk canon, it's Plagueis. If you want to talk... No. If you want to talk Legends, it's Plagueis. If you want to talk canon, we don't know yet. It can go either way. But, since we're on the topic of Palpatine, how is he coming back? Is it a holocron? Is it Sith Ghost, our first ever Sith Ghost? Is it the robots like we see in Battlefront, Operation Cinder, the ones that have the red cloaks and just the Palpatine face on the screen? Which they even bring up in Alphabet Squadron outside of the game. Or is it something completely different, something we haven't seen before? Is it the world between worlds kind of thing? Is that where he's talking from? Did maybe when... What?
Ahsoka's coming back.
Oh, stop it with that. I'm done. She's already back. Let's not talk about it any more than we need to. Maybe when Vader threw Palpatine into the well on the Death Star 2, that smoke, that blue fog, whatever the hell came up, that was not Palpatine dying. That was him entering the world between worlds. Because remember, in the world between worlds, you see that blue, smoggy, foggy thing when he's trying to conjure up a ritual.
So what is the...
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Those are a lot of great points. So what is the biggest, greatest, bad A entrance that anybody could make? I feel he's going to do, after 9 movies, over 40 years, his entrance better be epic. That's what I think is going to happen. He's going to be, look at me, and I fooled all of you. Mic drop.
I don't think it's gonna be all that. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna quote Elijah Wood character in The Faculty. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna take over the world Independence Day style, or are you gonna come in through the back door? How are you gonna do it? Are you gonna draw so much attention to yourself, which he already did, and he didn't win? He got thrown down a shaft. So now he's kind of playing the puppet master from the background, and has that become more beneficial for him? I don't know. I'm not JJ.
I don't know either. You brought up some really
I
good
love you.
points.
Like, I don't know either.
You brought up some great points about that. It could be he was very big and boisterous about it before, and it didn't work out for him. So
plus, I just love The Faculty, man. The movie's great.
That's a great movie.
I
introduced that. I showed Dave that movie, by the way.
See, now we have YouTube. I can do those faces, and people they can understand. They can understand my plight.
A great movie, but yeah, I could see. I don't know. I now I'm all like hyped myself up over episode 9. This movie better be epic.
Curb your enthusiasm. Curb your
epic.
Calm down. Pull it back. The biggest thing I think that affected me while watching episode 8 was my expectations, what I wanted out of episode 8. And when I saw it, it didn't hit on those expectations. I go tiny eye on you too. I think that's what kind of put a bitter taste in my mouth the first time I saw The Last Jedi. But then I let it marinate. I sat there. I watched it. I took it at face value. I appreciated it more down the road. Don't get me wrong. There's still some scenes I don't like. There's still some characters I don't like. But I think I liked the overarching beats more. After my expectations were curbed.
I agree. I don't watch it as often. I have not rewatched it as often as you have. I'll be honest about that. But as I go through it and see different parts of it, yes, I would agree. I don't think that I did say earlier, like episode 8, like, do we really need it? I think JJ's going to tie it in. I've already answered my own question. I know he's going to tie it in. It's going to make it work, whatever. And then I'm going to be like, oh my God, Rihan's a genius again. Like, that's what I'm going to do.
Because he set something up and then it catapulted JJ to do this, that, or the other. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be epic.
Oh, it is. Like, I'm going to watch the darn thing 7 times, probably in theaters before it's out of theaters. Where have the Knights of Ren been? What have they been up to?
I go back to what I asked you earlier. Like, I want to know what Kylo did to piss them off enough to where they don't want to be a part of him anymore. But I think we brought this up. Where have they been mentioned before? We've never seen them in a movie or on screen, have we?
We have.
Where?
Episode 7.
Oh, that's correct.
The episode 7, the Force Vision. That's when we first learned of the Knights of Ren.
No. Okay. So episode 7. Outside of that, have we gotten
was JJ, by the way?
Yeah, it's JJ. Have we gotten much more information?
None whatsoever. But now JJ's back. They're front and center on the visual dictionary. They're in the Vanity Fair pictures. They're gonna get their own comic with Kylo in it.
The Rise of Kylo Ren. The comic that's coming out. Like, come on. There's going to be some conversation there. So, yeah, I think that he's got to do some building about where they've been during this time. Because I also read, and this may be common knowledge, and I did not catch it the first time I read it, is there's going to be a bigger time gap between episode 8 and episode 9. One galactic year.
1 year. 1 year.
One standard year. Whereas, episode 7, episode 8 picked up exactly where they left off. So there's going to be a longer time lag. So I think that JJ has the time to go back and kind of say, hey, these are where the people have been. This is where they're at, blah, blah, blah. So I want to know the same thing. I'm not as huge on the Knights of Ren as like you are. I
They
know.
just sound like badasses, man. I want to know about them.
I'm a Sith acolyte. I'll learn, blah, 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 whatever. I'm not as big of a fan on it as a lot of other people are, but if you give me an awesome backstory and you make them live up to their name, I'll be okay.
I think for me and the rest of the people that go crazy over the Knights of Ren it's the Boba Fett syndrome. I've talked about it before. It's like, we barely see him. He looks badass. He looks amazing. Oh my god. And then we start filling the gaps in our mind. Everything that he could potentially do or is. That's what happens when you see somebody that's a badass looking character. You mentally start filling the gap, creating your own story for that individual. And I think that's what we do with the Knights of Ren. The question is JJ going to have that translate on screen? Are we going to see the Knights of Ren in a crazy battle, either against Kylo, against Rey, whatever, harassing 3PO and Poe in the desert? I don't know. But the question is, are the Knights of Ren going to be faceless enemies, or are they going to have a personality?
If they were created in episode 7, I'm going with they're having a faceless personality.
That makes no sense.
What? I forgot what you said. I heard personality and faceless.
I said, are they going to be faceless villains, or are they going to have a personality?
Faceless villains, no personality. I think Kylo Ren started out with this helmet. And you and I argue or disagree about this all the time. I got my condescending fingers up, by the way. This is condescending fingers. We talk about this all the time. I liked it better when Kylo Ren had the mask on and what he portrayed. Yes, do you get a little bit more?
A little bit? You get Adam Driver just being a beast. A beast. A beast.
A little bit more with his emotional expressions.
Yeah.
But I like the mask on, so I feel that's what they're going to stay with. That's what they're going to keep. The Knights of Ren, he probably has them and say, hey, you guys can't ever take your mask off. This isn't going to be an Enfys Nest situation, okay? But I think they're going to be faceless villains with no personalities.
You know, I could totally see that, but I think with this Kylo Ren comic, it gives them the availability to flush them out a little bit more. So, like, when it actually comes up on the movies, we could say, oh yeah, that's Dale, that's Pax, that's Ingram, that's whatever. I'm just talking out of my ass here, John. Don't make that face.
Dale?
Yeah, it could be Dale.
Dale. Pax.
It's better than Brendel. Okay, fine.
Brendel's in Star Wars.
Doesn't mean it's the best. Fine, that's Hammerhead, that's Corkscrew, that's Sledgehammer. What? Okay, fine. Is that what you want, John?
Are they clone troopers now?
They could. You don't know.
Rex.
You don't know. Could be Boba Fett baby clones, for all we know. But that leads me to one last thing for me that I can think of, and I'm sure you probably have a couple more because we've just been going back and forth. The Sith Troopers. Who commissioned them? Who do they follow? Why are they here? What do they do? What do you think? Talk to me.
So, sadly, I think we have very similar questions that we want answered in episode 9. And I figured that would be the case just based on our conversations and how we talk. How we're going to get there and what we think is the right path to get there, we differ completely on. But that's okay. That's why we have opinions. I truly don't know, but the name gives us some illusion or some information that it would be a Sith that oversees them and gives them commands. That's very obvious and to the point, but I think a lot of times fans like to over exaggerate what something does or is or what happens. And that's fine. That's the whole point of our imagination. But let's just get down, let's think about it. Knights of Ren. Who commands them? Kylo Ren. Let's think about it.
We know that, but who knows?
I should say Sith Trooper. Who commands them? It's a Sith. We don't know who or which Sith.
Exactly. All of a sudden, out of left field, Darth Plagueis. Darth Bane comes out.
Dude, if either of those two show up, you better tie all that together by the end of that movie. JJ, I will forever curse you if you bring out those two Sith Lords.
Why?
And do not bring it together.
Because
do not.
What he wants to do is then he wants to do a prequel TV show with Darth Bane or Darth Plagueis, then to interweave everything.
Prequel TV show.
Yeah. What do you think you have Disney Plus for?
Anyway, JJ, do not bring out Darth Bane and Darth Plagueis and not finish the story and bring it together.
Spite him. What other questions do you got?
So those, I asked all my questions at the beginning. I was pretty I went in there hardcore. I was like, no, this is what I want to know. But then some of the other questions that I had mine that I actually didn't write down were ones that you were asking. Rey's parents.
Okay.
The Sith Trooper I'm not as concerned about. Knights of Ren I'm not as concerned about. But I get why people would ask those questions. And then the Leia thing, just how is that going to work? How are they going to do it? And then what happens to the characters? Not that I'm invested in the characters, but what happens to them? Truly, where are we going to see them in the future? Where's Rey going to be? Where's everybody else going to be? Those are the things that I asked in my question. So we'll see what happens. But those are the questions that I had, and we kind of had some that were very similar.
I got one that you don't have on there. We got a tidbit in a comic, and I think it was the Charles Soule Darth Vader one. But your hair looks good, bud. Oh no, hold on, go down a little bit. Yeah,
I know.
A little alfalfa thing going. Oh, there you got it. Oh no, you didn't. The big question I'm thinking of. I don't think we're gonna get it. Anakin's conception.
Nah, I'm good. I don't care anymore.
You don't need to know if he's midichlorians, if he was manipulated by Palpatine and Plagueis, if he actually had Sheev had a one-night stand with a slave girl on Tatooine when he went out there to go watch a pod race. You don't know?
I don't know, but to me, there's much bigger fish that I'd be more concerned about frying than that right now.
But if you would link it back, it could shed so much light on the future.
Absolutely, I agree. It could, but it's not a fish that I want to fry right now. I guess I really want fish because I keep talking about a fish fry. It's something for me that I'm like, it's okay. We've been through 9 movies. We kind of we're kind of speculated. There was something in a comic. It was like the midichlorians. It answers enough questions. It's just for me, I think there's enough information out there that answered the questions. Just I don't need an Obi-Wan movie. I don't need an Obi-Wan TV series.
Okay.
The Clone Wars did that for me.
Anything else? Episode 9 questions or overarching questions you want answered for the saga? Don't bite it. You're gonna die.
No, I want to know how it all ends. I think that's the biggest question. How are you going to tie in over 40 years of movies, 40-year span, and 9 movies? JJ, you have a lot to make happen, and we trust in you. So don't screw it
up. Don't talk to JJ that way. He's a saint. No, I think we kind of hit on all the big questions, big thoughts of what is what is where. The only thing that I can think of is why didn't they make R2 and C-3PO a bigger part in this sequel trilogy? They're so prominent in the original.
Yes.
R2's all over the place in the prequel trilogy. But it seems like R2's almost been absent from this whole saga. And I know it's not news to anyone. Everybody's talking about it. All the other podcasters, Reddit, here and there. What's R2 doing? Is he going to have a big redeeming moment in this film? What's he been up to? And then that kind of also goes back in another question that I forgot, that I just thought about right now. Luke Skywalker, what's his role in The Last Jedi? I mean, not The Last Jedi, in The Rise of Skywalker.
I was like, he died.
Or did he?
And
who is the Skywalker that is rising? Is it Rey? Is it Kylo? Is it Broom Boy? I don't know. Is it Leia? Is it Leia?
So FYI, guys, the more we sit here and talk about this, the more questions Dave's going to just think of off the top of his head and ask. So I will quickly answer the other ones that he just brought up in a whole. We don't know, so go watch episode 9. No, I'm joking.
I'm going to say, okay.
So I think I could see Luke as a Force ghost.
They were about to say Lucifer. I'm like, what?
No, I could see Luke as the Force ghost, but Luke also was able to accomplish something that I don't know if many other Jedi or if any other Jedi was able to accomplish by projecting himself in a location where he was not. So I'd be very interested to see what they do with Luke Skywalker because of that reasoning. C-3PO, R2-D2, I think it kind of went along with the whole thing in episode 7. Luke was gone in episode 7. R2 was very close to Luke. He was his friend. He was his droid. That kind of painted the same thing. He's sad Luke's not there. I get that. Episode 8, I really can't explain why they've had such a quiet or such a stand back thing, but it could also be that they could be getting ready for a big reveal in episode 9, but in reality, I don't know if Rian would have known that when he made episode 8. I don't know if JJ would have known that when he made episode 7. So he has a chance to make that happen now because he is doing episode 7, but I think in reality, when you first brought it up, I think it's because they're, hey, they've been here since the beginning. You've slowly started seeing people phase out. Han, Luke, Leia is getting there. It's becoming the new trilogy. You got the BB-8, you got Dio, who's the new droid. I think it's kind of a phase out, in my opinion. I don't right, wrong, or indifferent. I just think it's a phase out.
Okay, one more while I thought about it because you were talking. Who are we going to see from a Force Ghost perspective, other than Luke? Are we going to see Yoda? Are we going to see Obi-Wan? Are we going to see Qui-Gon?
I think the first two you mentioned, Yoda and Obi-Wan for sure. I don't think we'll get any Qui-Gon. As much as cool as that would be, I don't think we will. You may even get, this is way out of left field because he switched at the very end, you may even get Anakin Skywalker.
Okay, that's what I was hoping you were going to say.
Go watch episode 9, people. Out.
No,
I'm joking.
One
December.
more thing. Well, no. Maz Kanata. I want to know more about Maz.
Everybody wants to know more about Maz. I'm sure we're going to get some more in-depth information when it comes to episode 9. I don't think we saw a little. Granted, her role in episode 8 I thought was very minor and it wasn't necessary, but they wouldn't have kept her in there unless there was something bigger coming out of it. So I feel that we're going to get more Maz in episode 9. How she's used or what's going to happen, I don't know, but I definitely could see more of Maz.
I think it's super interesting that at Galaxy's Edge at Batuu, you can buy a yellow kyber crystal, and one of them is Maz Kanata. She's got a kyber crystal. That means she has a lightsaber, theoretically, right?
Yes, and I could see her being a Force user.
Like, I've heard other people say that she is a Force user. I might have missed the comic or the book that it's mentioned, but she's got a lightsaber. She's got a yellow kyber crystal. She obviously seems to be Force sensitive because she's like, oh, I've seen those eyes, blah, 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 whatever. What extent does she have Force powers? Force sensitivity, Force abilities, whatever.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. If I continue to answer his questions, we'll be here for another 3 hours, guys. We'll have to see. I think Maz is Force sensitive in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I don't know how in depth or what more she will get, but based on what we saw in episode 7, I definitely see her as a Force sensitive person.
What does a palm bloom smell like? And are there other colors than red?
No, and I really don't care. So, with that being said,
what is Rose Tico's role in episode 9? Is she the Skywalker that's rising?
Guys, we thank you for tuning in today. This is the Rule of Two, a Star Wars podcast. Let us know your thoughts on episode 9 and what questions you would like answered. And as always, may the Force be with you.
Thank you for tuning in today. We are The Rule of Two, a Star Wars podcast. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Rule of Two Pod. Check us out on our website at www.theruleoftwopodcast.com or send us an email via contact@theruleoftwopodcast.com. Check us out on Patreon and TeePublic for exclusive deals and merchandise. And we are in no way affiliated with Disney, Lucasfilms, or the Collider Podcast Rule of Two. And as always, may the Force be with you.